Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Cullings, Executive Director here at Global Game Jam, and welcome to our talk today. We have Merve Meszaros, who will be giving a talk on debugging imposter syndrome to help you overcome your fears and embrace the fun and excitement and experimentation of the We Create Game Jam, which we are co-hosting with our friends from IGDA and IGDA Foundation and our supporters at Google Play. Enabling women from Asia and Latin America to make Android games and be a part of our competition to win some prizes, some prize money that we have up for people to attempt to win. We have a great talk that's about to happen, so please welcome
Hello.
introduce
Hi,
yourself.
thanks for the invite.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I'm Merve. I'm a tech lead in Trix. Trix is a Hamburg-based studio in Germany. So I'm doing mostly project management on technical side, and job hunt was a recent thing for me. So this year I experienced imposter syndrome heavily while updating my CV after a couple of years, and I hope this will be helpful. And I'm a game jam addict by myself as well. I'm joining Global Game Jam every year since 2017. So
Oh, nice.
it's all started with Global Game Jam for me. So it's exciting to be here.
Yeah, I hear that story a lot wherever I go. People, came to a global game jam event and they really didn't know what they were doing or how to get started, and they felt very nervous and overwhelmed and intimidated by all the great people that were there. But our community is so welcoming and helpful. They're always
Mhm.
just ready to help new people get started, and that's really what's so great about global game jam and why I love it so much. So happy to have you here and looking forward to your talk.
Thank you. Yeah, imposter syndrome is triggering for me during the game jams. But also the solution is game jam in some case, because when I do game jams, I like get the motivation. I feel comfortable because it is a great platform to fail for you, to learn and fail. So nobody will judge you for failing. But when I get into this really experience and professional pool of game developers and doing game jam next to them, I always feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here. Can I make a game in 2 days? So I feel in the state of the imposter. So it comes and goes, but I find game jam mostly the solution to pull myself back from the imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. It's always I think once you realize that everybody is kind of feeling the same way in that room, then it's easier to get over that and just work together on cool things and overcoming it together. So I will
Hmm.
leave you to your talk, and people, if you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments section. We can see those here, and we can answer those after she's done.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, feel free to write the comments and questions. I will try to check it often so I can answer them as we go. So I checked the game jam team, actually it's Bridges and Bones, and I was thinking of what kind of game I would do, or I wanted to connect this talk to the team itself as well. So I was thinking, let's cross bridges towards a more confident game development experience, or that embarking on a journey to bridge the gap between the self-doubt and the confidence. So I'm a programmer initially, and now I switch more to the management side. But as core programmer, I approach this imposter syndrome topic more analytically. So I see it as a bug. So we need to debug it and fix it eventually. So my talk will be about that. So let's get to it. So what is imposter syndrome? So when everyone is telling you, I love your work, your friends are saying it, your family is saying it, and strangers are saying it, but inside you feel like They are saying it because they are my family. They are saying it because they are my friends. They are saying it because they don't know me. They want to be friends. So basically, you never win because you convince yourself that everyone is better than you and you are not sufficient. So this is the phenomenon, the definition of imposter syndrome. And a little bit about me to understand my imposter's journey. I'm a tech lead now in Trix in Hamburg, and I have 9 years experience in game industry. I started in Turkey in serious games, and after that I moved to Czech Republic, did 5 years mobile games. So I was also working with Android as you're doing with the Game Jam now, and after that, currently I switched to Germany, uh, and since March this year, I am mostly working with the engineers and managing their tasks, so on more on the management side, and as more for my titles, it's like engineering manager, programmer. I'm also doing mentoring and helping people experiencing imposter syndrome. Uh, so I see it from both sides, helping someone having imposter syndrome and having myself and how to help myself being in the imposter state. Also, I'm a Pokemon trainer. I'm a game jam addict, as I mentioned at the beginning. I'm also doing a game jam currently, but it's a month long, so I can be here and talk about this. So it is like a little break from my game jamming session. It all started in 2017 in Turkey. I heard about this global game jam. In Turkey, there is only one site in the capital. Back then, now there are more sites. It grew definitely much more. So with my colleagues from work, I joined my first game jam. I was doing some co-op multiplayer game in Unity, and I enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed the environment, being in the same building for 2 days, sleeping or not sleeping there, eating, and just discussing games with the fellow game developers. It was great. Then this led to being part of more game jams, and as global game jam, it will be this year in January 22nd. Yeah, it will be my eighth global game jam, and every time I'm trying to do something new. I'm trying to challenge myself with pixel art. In 2018, I tried. Then in 2019, I tried to work with another game developer because I feel like if I go to game jams alone, I feel more comfortable because I don't need to prove myself or nobody is tied to me. So I can fail myself. If I fail at the end, nobody else will get hurt. I had this feeling. That's why I always avoided forming groups. This is really against game jam tradition, I guess. But my imposter feeling was avoiding being in teams during game jams or avoiding doing something other than programming. I really wanted to try game design. I really wanted to do some graphics during game jams, but I always avoided it because I always felt like, oh, in this site there is definitely someone more experienced than me, and my game jam game won't look nice at the end. That's why I should just stick to the programming. So I only tried different fields when I did the game jam alone because I was doing it all programming, game jam, and then game design. But when I was in a team, I always stick to the what I know more. And other than global game jam, as I got addicted to the game jams, I just joined other types of game jams and rather in smaller groups, as I said, because of the imposter feeling. So outline of this talk, we will identify our bug, which is the imposter syndrome. Then we will talk about the debugging techniques and tools, and we will try to fix the bug. So identifying the bug. So imagine you're playing a video game and everything seems to be going really well. You're maybe completing some achievements, you're defeating the enemies, and you're just making progress in the game world. But there is a little glitch that occasionally causes the character to take some damage. And it shouldn't. And it's not obvious bug like you are getting stuck in a wall or you are falling to the ground. So these kind of bugs, as a programmer or as a game developer, you can easily point and see the reason of it. But this little bug is you don't know the reason, so it's hard to pinpoint. So imposter syndrome is like this hidden glitch. You may be doing everything right in your game development career and creating fantastic games, receiving positive feedback, but deep down you might have this nagging feeling that you are not as good at as others think you are. So this little bug in your confidence that's challenging to notice because it doesn't manifest as an obvious problem like falling to the ground in the game. So we are feeling anxious, we have fear of failure, you're having self-doubt, and at the end asking this question, am I a fraud? So everyone may feel like an imposter sometimes, and it's good to know that it is okay, and everyone is sharing this feeling, so it's okay to feel like a fraud and doubting your abilities. What is important is like identifying this bug and knowing the tools to debug and fix it. So you have the feeling of I have no idea what I'm doing. So I want to go through my game development journey and associate with the imposter, how visible my imposter was, how big was it. So in 2011 I graduated from bachelor, so my imposter, my ditto, as I said, I'm a Pokemon trainer, so I want to make references to Pokemon. So it was really small, and I got into my first job. It's really small. I'm a junior developer, so I'm there to learn, and nobody is expecting really high of me because I just graduated school, right? So it wasn't there. And I moved from Turkey to Czech Republic to start my master's degree. And I got into a bigger group of game developers. There were many different backgrounds, and people knew more than me. And I start feeling this like, oh, am I like supposed to be here? I feel like a bigger imposter now. Then I started my first job in Prague. And my imposter was again there, but not so noisy. And as I stayed in this company for a while, for 5 years, the imposter got comfortable. So I got comfortable. I knew the code base, I knew the colleagues, I knew what kind of challenges may appear. So the imposters start going smaller. And we got a new project. So with this new project, there were new challenges. I start using some plugin I never use. I start doing multiplayer with Photon Quantum. So this was something new for me. So as this challenge came, my imposter got bigger. And I start doing some side project, and I was trying different fields other than programming. So I was doing QA, I was doing localization, so this was different. And that's why the imposter was still there and having a new challenge. And after a while it got smaller as I got comfortable with my new roles. And uh, afterwards, I started mentoring some schools, mentoring some students at the school. So there, the imposter was still there because I felt, am I here to give the advice when I need the advice? Like, why should they hear me? Do I have enough experience to tell students what to do, how to guide them? Do I know what am I doing here? So I had this feeling. And later this year in March, I decided to move from Czech Republic to Germany, and from programming to I switched a role which needed more management side, more telling people how they should do stuff. So there the imposter got bigger, and I was also doing more public talks and being on the stage, sharing my experience, people listening to me. I'm like, oh, why am I on stage talking to these wonderful game developers? I'm not that good. So the imposter was getting really loud and loud. So how is the fact and how the imposter is telling you this fact I want to mention here. So I had 9 years in the industry, but the imposter was just saying I was just lucky to be here. Like I was here just by luck, not because I stick to it, or just not because I'm successful in this job. I graduated from the master's, but I was feeling they gave me the diploma since they pitied me. And I was lead developer in the project. I was working in Prague, but I was feeling like because nobody else wanted to work on it, that's why they gave me this job, not because I deserve it. And my colleagues were laid off. The programmer sitting next to me was laid off, and I was feeling he is better than me. Why didn't they pick me instead? And I was feeling that they made a mistake. They should have just kept the other programmers and not me. So the imposter was perceiving the facts in different ways. So I want to talk about some with the numbers to state that this is a common feeling. So everyone is feeling the imposter syndrome, and it's okay to feel the imposter syndrome. So in 2018, there was a survey conducted by Blind within the tech professionals. So the question was, have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome? So the results were 56.8% of people were answering, please don't tell anyone that I'm a complete fake. And 24% of it felt it at the beginning of their job, and only 20% of it never felt this imposter feeling. And then I found out another survey which was conducted in 2011, 7 years before this survey, but not only the tech professionals, but they targeted more the population. So they asked the same question, and according to results, 70% of the population experiences imposter syndrome at least once in their career. And when I do this in person, this kind of talks, I often would like to ask the audience how many of you ever experience imposter syndrome. And in the last time in Poland, I've been to a conference, and there about 90% of the room was raising their hands. Maybe you can also raise or shout here in the comments so we can see that we are not alone, or I can see I'm not alone. Um, so back to the 56.8% was being the tech professionals, and 90% from the survey I made in person within the game developers. I think it is more common within these creative industries, as game development is rapidly changing. You always need to keep up with new trends, and everyone is super creative. You see amazing projects, and it's easier to get into this feeling of the imposter. But what are the debugging techniques for our bug with Psyduck? So I wrote this small snippet of code to show the breakpoints in our life and how you should pause, reflect, and ask yourself when you have this feeling of the imposter. So when you detect the imposter syndrome, you get into this if clause, and then there are self-doubts. I'm not good enough. I don't belong here. You may hear in your head that everyone is better than me, and you are scared that they will find out that you're a fraud. And at this point, you should put this breakpoint here, line 23, and then you should get your current state. So it is time to reflect on your past successes and skills you have developed as game developer. So breakpoints is the first and the foremost technique to debug this imposter syndrome. And next is logging, as we are trying to find a bug in our game, maybe during game jam. We often write this logs to see what is happening, where are we. So similar in imposter syndrome, you have to log your achievements. So because imposter syndrome is often stemming from underestimating our own abilities and discounting our own achievements. So writing them down, coming back to it when we feel like an imposter may help. So journaling our thoughts, reminding ourselves of the projects we have worked on, the challenges we have overcome, the positive feedback we have received. We had this at my previous job that on Slack during our stand-up, we would also write also about the small victories we took yesterday. So this would be logged there. So you could see if you scroll up in the chat that, oh, this happened on Tuesday to me. I fixed this small bug. Maybe it's not a big thing for the project, but this small victory is actually something to look and remind yourself of. If you're working in a big project, maybe it's a long-term project, it's hard to see the result of your work. So these kind of small victories actually help me to get back to thinking that I have some small achievements. So code review, often that code reviews help you to find the bugs early on in the project. So maybe you don't see the bug, but if you review someone else's code, if you give your code to someone to review, they may point the bug you haven't seen. So instead of fearing the criticism when you show your code or yourself, when you put yourself out there, actively seeking feedback from others is actually helping, and feedback can provide valuable insights into areas for improvement and help you grow as a game developer. Um, but I often think when I get a positive feedback that they are just saying it. Like in the first comic I showed, I don't believe it. So how to make this positive feedback believable is for me to hear a negative feedback at the same time. So when someone gives you positive feedback, I also need to hear something negative from them. So to be sure that they are capable of saying something negative to me. And vice versa, if you are giving feedback to someone, it's good to keep it natural so they can believe and they don't feel like, oh, they have to say that she is saying it just because she's my friend. So you can make this code review more constructive and believable by giving one positive feedback together with a negative feedback so people can use it as a constructive feedback. And you have to build your support network for these code reviews. It might be your fellow game developers, it might be mentors. Now it's so common that the mentors are so easily reachable in game development. I've seen so many lists being shared on LinkedIn or in Twitter that if you are in search for a mentor, it's really easy to find. And then it might be also that your past colleagues might form your support network. It might be as well families and friends. But as I said, it was harder for me to believe to these bias group. I was thinking they are biased. That's why I went with the more getting the feedback from the fellow game developers. And there are the mentor spreadsheet I want to mention. I've seen on Twitter from Joe Hobbs. If you search on Google, you can find it easily. This is mentors sharing their fields, so their expertise and their contact information. If you are seeking feedback on some topic, you can easily find someone to help you with. Then there are really nice forums you can check and discuss your feelings with. Then I'm part of this Game Dance Discord channel. It's just a community of game developers supporting each other on their fitness journeys. It's not a game development journey, but still being part of this group and talking with fellow game developers about fitness journey is also encouraging me to just be better at my job, I feel like. And then LinkedIn, as for finding the support groups and mentors, there is also from Amir Satwat a really nice mentor list you can go through and pick your next mentor. And the most important thing not to forget is you're not alone. So remember that imposter syndrome is common and many successful professionals are experiencing it, and you are not alone feeling this way. And knowing that others have similar doubts can help you put things into a better perspective, and maybe it will elevate the pressure you may be feeling. So we also need to do some testing in our code not to release more bugs into the production, right? So think of overcoming imposter syndrome as conducting some testing on your own abilities and skills. So you will need to define the clear objectives. So just as you define test cases and expectations while testing a game, you have to set clear objectives for yourself. So what skills or areas you want to evaluate, what you want to focus, nothing so big, starting smaller and then aiming for the bigger. So we have to create the test cases. Breaking down our goals into smaller test cases might help. So this could be mini projects or tasks or challenges, still manageable. Like manageable that you can test during game jams. For example, I wanted to try a new game engine, so I often try different stuff. So next game jam, I'm aiming to work more with watercolors, so I can uh, evaluate this challenge. So these kind of manageable objectives, which you can test during game jams, is really helpful for you to improve yourself and feel like you may accomplish it. Then executing the tests, working on these test cases, just as a QA tester would execute the test cases. And as you tackle each task, you're essentially testing your own skills and knowledge. And you should record the results, as we mentioned with the logging, just like documenting the test results, keeping track of your progress, noting your achievements. If it's helping you, you can just write them on post-it, put them on your monitor, or it might be a notebook you keep hidden. And when you feel like imposter, you are getting deep down in this hole, feeling the imposter, you just open and read. And as you wrote it, it's somehow more believable that you accomplished this. These are real facts. So it means that you are capable of doing something and you're getting somewhere good. Then iterating and improving in the same way, game is refined based on testing feedback. Using the insights gained from your testing will help you iterate and improve your skills. So how do we fix the bug? So refactoring, before fixing, we also need to do some refactoring. And how do we do this refactoring is replacing self-doubt with positive self-talk. This is the first step. So just go and replace the self-doubt in your code with the positive self-encouragement. and making necessary code changes to fix the bug, hot fixing the negative thoughts. When you catch yourself feeling like an imposter, you have to apply a hot fix by reminding yourself your achievements and capabilities. This might be going back to that notebook you start writing about your skills. It might be going back, asking your mentor, so what am I doing right? What is your positive feedback? And what is the parts I can improve? So just releasing a hotfix. Then SDK updates, consider this as updating your personal skills and knowledge base. So as you would update an SDK to access new features and improvements within the code base, you invest in learning and acquiring new skills to boost your self-confidence and competence. And afterwards, you have to update documentation. This documentation might be that journal you're taking, or it might be your CV. If it is more for you, it's feeling more formal and like valid, go with the CV option. So you update your CV, so it is there, not that you would apply to a job tomorrow, but just to validate yourself, just to document your achievements and document your positive feedback. And at the moments of doubt, you just come to this list and you can just like check and remind yourself of your accomplishments. Then we release the game and monitor, right? Consider this as releasing your improved self-confidence self into the world. So once you have made the progress in addressing the imposter syndrome, putting yourself out there and taking on new challenges, monitoring your feelings, and yeah, it is not gonna be gone. It may come back. As I mentioned, with this path I took, it was sometimes smaller, sometimes bigger. Whenever there's a situation, there's a challenge, it is shouting there, but most important part is how to handle it. So now that you have the debugging strategies and such, it is easier to handle it. And don't forget to be kind to yourself. So having a bug in your code does not make you a bad programmer. It doesn't make you a bad person. So you have to be kind. You have to maybe do some selfless acts. It might be during a game jam, just going around helping people, trying to fix their bug. So the selfish act may make you feel like a better programmer or better person. So just find ways to be kind to yourself. Don't be harsh. And I want to summarize, and then we can go back to the comments. If you have any questions, now it's time to write them. So remember, it's a common bug. As I would say, 90% of game developers are experiencing it. Debugging tools are available to overcome it. It may not completely disappear, but as long as you know how to deal with it, it is okay. And you are on the right track by being here, attending this game jam, or listening to this talk, and just sharing the feelings with the fellow game developers. I also put some book recommendations which helped me. The first book by Abby Wambach is Wolfpack, and this line from the book is actually really helping me to sometimes feel better. So it's a really short book, and I come back to this line and often read it. And it says, failure means you are not out of the game, but you are in the game, because Abby Wambach is a football player, and in football, if you make a mistake, you're out of the game. But she's trying to say it in this verse that no, it means you're in the game. You're there, you're trying, and if you make a mistake, it means you're trying. So it really makes me feel. Reminds me if I keep this book around and just check it time to time. And And here is my contact information. Thank you for your attention. We may take questions. I'm also playing Pokemon Go, so I will use this opportunity to share my friend code. And in case we bump into each other somewhere, we can trade some Pokemons. Thank you. Let me check the comments now.
Yeah, it was a really great talk. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed all the advice and feedback you have for everybody. We do have a couple questions from YouTube and Twitch. Here's one that came in. Can I ask how a UI UX designer can help with the development of a game?
I actually started as a UI programmer in this mobile game I was working on. So we didn't have a UX designer. So the game designer was making the decisions on the UX, and sometimes players would complain because this wasn't the correct way. So I think every game needs a UI and UX designer, not like specialize on this topic. So I would definitely see this as useful as a programmer as well. So having a really dedicated UX designer would be really helpful. I hope this answered your question.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's definitely important at a game jam. I mean, producers, UX designers, audio folks, everybody really can learn something and be a valuable asset.
I wasn't sure if this was asked for the game jam, because it says development of a game, maybe in the full production, but also for the game jam, yes.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then any tips how to deal with anxiety at the end of the deadline? I always stress over time.
I am anxious all the time, so I'm not the right person to answer this question. So yeah, at the end of the deadline, like colleagues, that's how I deal with the anxiety. I need to have them around if I'm alone and just trying to fix a bug and just getting deep in the code. Uh, and try to catch the deadline, it is not a good state. So I often try to have, I'm working from home, so I try to have them online. So we have these Discord calls. So even when I'm working in the background, I still have that open office feeling. So with the remote work, this is not a really good state for people to interact, right? So we have this open Discord channel, so you can just work there, still coding. But in the background, if you say something, people would hear. So everyone is still in that room. So this is really helping me during the deadlines to have this support group of people that I can reach, not that I'm sitting on my computer and just being alone in this room and then trying to catch the deadline, but more like we are in this together.
Yeah, that's great advice. I would always lean on your network and talk to your friends and just maybe do what you can to just get away for a little bit, go out for a walk or watch TV show, look at memes, do whatever it does to relax your mind and just focus on something else. You know, sometimes just giving yourself that mental break can help you refocus on the task at hand and come up with new ideas or be a little bit less stressed about it. Usually if you're in a more relaxed state of mind, it'll definitely help things go quicker.
Yeah, exactly. For the walking, taking a walk part, I use Pokemon Go often more for this purpose. I think that's why I'm so stick to this game, because in the evening when I'm stressed, I just like, okay, now it's time to catch Pokemon and just like meditate a bit, and then I will come back and fix this thing. So having that switch and just taking a break from it is really helpful. Yeah, everyone has their own way. I'm not telling everyone to go download Pokemon Go. Yeah, I'm not associated with the game at all. I don't. I just love it.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. We're all, most of us, I think, are gamers, and we all have our own games that we like to play that help us take our mind off things. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's a valid answer and very sound advice. I don't see that we have any other questions, but I don't know if you have any last words of advice you want to give people, or just they can find you on LinkedIn as you have posted here, and
Yes,
Twitter and
if you
Discord. So
need, mhm. If you need someone to talk to, if you need a mentor on programming side or anything in your game dev career, or if you need some game jammers to do game jams with, just hit me up.
awesome, yeah. Well, it was great having you here. We really appreciate it. I hope everybody took something away that they can use in their careers, in their game jams, in their lives to help them out with if they're feeling imposter syndrome. We all go through it at some point in this industry and in any endeavors in life, and having some tools in your tool belt to be able to overcome it are
Mhm.
certainly useful.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're
And
welcome.
I
Have a great
hope
day.
you will have a good rest of the game jam week. It's going till 27th, right? There's still some time.
Yeah, still a few days left. You can go to the link that's in the bottom right corner and find out more about the game jam. igdafoundation.org/we create/2023. You can also sign up on our Discord on Global Game Jam to find a whole set of channels there of people who are working on the jam right now to find teammates. It is not too late to register and start working. Each region, both Asia and Latin America, have a prize pool of 10,000 US dollars that are going to go to the top 3 winners in each region, be divided among them. We have a great panel of mentors that you can make use of to ask a lot of questions and learn from, and some judges from the industry who are going to be playing and giving feedback on all the games that are submitted. So we're excited to see what comes out of the jam and what games are made. So thanks once again, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.